I'm joined by Shaz from MF Mac as we round out an action-packed day at Women in New Energy here in Aberdeen. How are you doing today, Shaz?
I'm doing great, Ryan.
And you've just come off the last panel session of the day. What were your key takeaways?
It was great to be part of the last discussion around mental health, equity, and how we drive change in the industry.
And so I guess the question you could be mistaken for asking if you weren't in the room is, well, this is a DEI focused event. Why are we speaking about women? Why are we speaking about mental health here? Mental health surely is more of a intersectional issue than it is a specific DEI issue. Do you mind telling me why we decided to focus on mental health today?
So there's a number of factors, Ryan. For myself, I'm a lawyer. And we display a tendency of perfectionism by and large, and that tends to manifest itself into burnout quite quickly, particularly for the women who have got a number of different responsibilities ongoing, whether it's motherhood, return to work after maternity, caring responsibilities. So it's really important to make sure that as males that we're aware of what's happening in that space.
And you are very well aware. You were speaking about the different groups to support different colleagues across your business, whether that's based on belief or based on background. And you were speaking about how you started attending the one that supports women within your organisation, and you're the only man in that group. Can you tell me what prompted you to join that group?
Yeah, it's quite refreshing to be part of that type of forum. So we've got a number of employee resource groups, or ERGs, as we call it in the firm. We have about a fifth of the workforce attending the various groups, and for me, it's important to know what types of issues are happening for the whole range of colleagues. And for myself, as a father of two girls, I'm also acutely aware of trying to support mothers, and my wife who's also trying to progress in her own career. So I've got a bit of a vested interest in that.
And when you come to events like Women in New Energy, like you say, you've got two girls at home, and when it comes to thinking about how we change, how we approach diversity and inclusion within the sector, especially an industry like energy that is changing so drastically in the next few decades, how important is it to you to be involved in these conversations?
I think it's incredibly important because there's a lot of talk around culture. And culture generally comes from a set of behaviours, and those take time, and it requires a collective effort, not an us and them conversation. And as I am part of the more dominant section of the leadership structure in the workforce, I think if I can effect any type of meaningful change, I think it's all for the better.
And you're right about, sort of being part of that dominant sort of demographic within most industries, but especially the energy sector, the one that we're speaking about here at the event. We had this really shocking question posed to your panel right at the end about a woman who'd said that she was speaking to members of C-suite within her organisation that told her she needed to check her biases when she was coming from the perspective of a woman in the industry and a mother. And you along with your other panelists were sort of taken aback by that. But based on the anecdotes we hear across the industry, was that a particularly shocking story to hear, or do you think this is sadly something that happens too often?
I think it sadly is something that happens a bit more often than we'd assume. I think there's a lot of hidden biases and assumptions at certain levels in organisations, and I think forums like this are really important to get that out into the open. And really for me, I would certainly like to see more presence from senior male leadership at events like this to really be fully aware of some of the hidden biases and assumptions that might be at play.
And one final question. As I say, we're wrapping up. You're away to get to the drinks reception. You can go off and get whatever you fancy just in 5 minutes. I just need to know, what was your key takeaway from today? There's been a lot happening. What's the thing that you're taking home to those two girls, other than the presents that you said you were collecting on the show floor?
Yeah, I cannot forget those. The main thing is very much the theme of this whole initiative is purpose and practice, that there's a lot of talk around trying to put in place policies and processes that can help unlock some of the challenges that women are facing. But I think unless you actually take active steps in affecting that change, nothing's really going to meaningfully happen. So that's the main takeaway from me, is that there seems to be real positive engagement to try and take active steps.